Bob writes about it. Jim talks about it. But Chuck did something about it.
Foreman on a big hole across the 10. He's something else. He's out in touchdown land. He's something else, baby.
Now, here's longtime columnist Bob Sansevere, Fox 9's Jim Rich, and the great number 44,
Double 4.
Chuck Foreman.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman, the superstar Mike Morris joining us, and Tyler Ganz, who brings us this fine edition of programming. And that would be the Window Store. And also we have some great appearances. Go to Sports Legends USA to find the latest. But Mike is going out. Chuck is going out. Tyler is hosting a huge bash this weekend that you want to check out at his establishment up in Matabidi. So all of those things going on. But this week, this is a show that you're going to archive. You're going to want to go back and look and listen, because we're going to have each of these gentlemen coming from different eras, and Tyler coming from the guys that sat in the seats all the years watching the action on the field, ranking who they feel are the Vikings' top 3 quarterbacks of all time, running backs of all time, wide receivers, defensive linemen, offensive line, and of course, as Mike would say, the most important group that ever steps onto a field.
That's right.
The special teams unit.
The most. Offense. Defense. Grow up. You're nothing until you're a special team player. They're still trying to catch up with me. Of course, they're not trying really all that hard. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say is special teams is by far the most important thing on the field. You can't win touchdowns with everyone who makes a touchdown, 6 points, we get it. But you have to have one more on that, or you lose games with 6-point touchdowns.
Chuck?
Okay. Okay.
Notice that.
How can you not roll with this?
You gotta try. Gotta try.
Well, I mean, you were part of the only group that was called special.
We were perfect.
So that is why.
He didn't miss a field goal or a PAT for an entire season. Now, the playoffs, it was different.
It's just a little bit.
Oh, my God. Let's do the show. God,
right. We won't go down that road.
I'm done.
We won't go down that road.
Stop beating yourself up like that.
It's hard not to do. It's all my career was, beating myself up.
All right.
Oh.
All right, let's start with the wide receivers. Chuck, you have been on some of the greatest Viking teams of all time, 3 Super Bowl appearances. So, and you have been a part of this program since that time, watching every single game since then. So your opinion is a very valid one.
How I evaluated the wide receivers. First of all, I had to go with, guys I played with and our accomplishments, right? So I'm trying to put everything in perspective, like who came first and all that kind of stuff. But here's my best receivers. Okay, we have Randy Moss, Chris Carter. Okay, there's Sammy White, there's John Gilliam, and then there's Ahmad Rashad. Now I can't mention one with all these guys. I couldn't leave any of them out, because when you say top 3, you can't have a top 3 because there's so many great ones. You can't eliminate one from the other because one might be like Sammy White, for instance. Nobody can run a pattern like that and as low to the ground. He could do things nobody could do. Chris Carter had great hands. Not the greatest speed, but great hands, they say. And Randy Moss had a combination of everything. John Gilliam was as smooth could get. And Ahmad Rashad, he was 6'4", 220. He could run a pattern. He can catch a. There he is. So how can you separate those?
No,
I couldn't. Then they might not speak to me. Those are my receivers.
Oh, that's funny.
You know who's not going to speak to you is Justin Jefferson.
He's not. No, he's still playing. Now this is like I didn't look.
Oh, was the rules they had to be not playing?
I didn't.
No,
put
that's what he
current.
wants to go with.
I'm not going with current. I'm going with what I know.
All right.
And what I've seen. Now he's still.
Who has finished their resume? His resume is not completed yet. He's still adding to
No,
it.
his resume, when he's done,
Gotcha.
he'll be, in my opinion, the top receiver. But he's still playing. That's why I didn't put him in there.
Understood.
All right, Tyler, let's go with the fans' perspective. What jumped out to you over the decades?
Well, I'm in 67.67% in agreement with Chuck, with Randy Moss at number 1 and Chris Carter at number 2. They were both childhood. I was a child, watching them kill and crush everyone. Back in those days, the superstar was there as well. He just wasn't catching balls. He was, throwing them back. So then I didn't know. My list is who I see now. I don't think there's anyone better to play the game than Justin Jefferson at wide receiver, from my perspective. So those are my top 3.
Star?
I would say we're very close with both of these two gentlemen. Starting off with Randy Moss, for obvious reasons. I played with him. I got to know him really well, and he is a combination of everything. And everyone that I had played with up till that time, he was a combination of those great football players that I had known before I ever got here, like Roy Green from the Cardinals, Art Monk. I played with him for a while. Steve Largent. I mean, he was all those guys plus something else, and he was the real deal. So I put J.J. Jefferson on this one, agreeing with Chuck, though, that maybe he should have sat out on this one because of the timetable and the body of work hasn't been turned in yet. But right now, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's no question. But that's the only reason I didn't put him on there because, heck, this guy still probably got about 8 more years to go.
He probably does, and probably even getting better. I wonder if I think he'll even get better.
That's the scary thing.
Yes.
And
yes.
you see, he's got something that I think separates him a lot too.
I do too.
He go get it.
He might be the one with the best hands of all.
Yeah, best hands, but he'll go in that middle.
I don't have any doubt that Jefferson will prove to be right up at the top of the list of all times.
Right.
Then my last one is Gene Washington, who I loved when I was a kid. Watching him play, the great one from Michigan State. Mm-hmm. We already heard about Sammy White and John Gilliam, but I threw in Gene Washington because I thought I knew who Chuck might be talking about. So I put Gene in there
too. But I only got to play with Gene 1 year.
He was
hurt.
What?
But Gene Washington was by far, as far as physically gifted. You guys talk about Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Gene is either right there or, he's that guy. He had that kind of talent too, but he got hurt. I remember him being hurt when I got here. But Gene Washington, with that Michigan State team they had, Gene Washington, George Webster, Clint Jones. I mean, they had like 10 guys going the first round.
I think Bubba Smith was on the team.
Smith, you keep on going and going and going.
Yeah.
How about a characteristic of a wide receiver? What in your mind, Chuck, makes a wide receiver better than his peers? Is there an attribute that you need to see in a guy? Is it just?
I think first of all, the ability to disguise what they're going to do, and I say that because of this. You see some guys just walk off the line. That means they're not doing anything. They know they're not in the pattern. To me, what separates wide receivers is a guy that comes off the ball every play, like he's going to get the ball, because that gives him an advantage. Okay, because then he can get into his routes. And then when you have a great route runner, like we've had, that separates. And then the ability, to read the defense. Everybody, you've seen a lot of receivers with some nice talent, right? Mm-hmm. But they couldn't read the defense or know what to do.
Couldn't read a stop sign.
You had to go out. There was a guy we had.
Still hooked on phonics.
Yeah. We had a guy one time, the most unbelievable talent. I'm not mentioning his name. But, they had to tell him, okay, you run up there 15 yards and you stop and turn around, then just run like hell. And that's what he would do, and he'd do it.
And he'd do it, yeah. You better be able to do it, right?
But I'm just saying, it's a lot to go to receiver. They got to have of course, those guys got a little bit of,
little swagger.
swag. But you get one with the swag that can come play like Jefferson does, like the guys that we just mentioned. You got something special because they got tough. They go in the middle. They can disguise. They can go run. They can run deep. They can do anything.
Is that the attributes he was pointing out? Is there anything
I think
you
so.
can add to that?
He mentioned one, and he just slipped it in there. He said they'll go across the middle, and to me that means courage. They go across the middle, and they catch it. Still, they catch it. Yeah. And so, you see him get hit the way back when Chuck played, when I played. You got hit coming across the middle from every angle, and with the top of the helmet, spearing and everything, right? But they still hung on to it.
But that was in our era. In my era, anyway, they tested them. That's how they would test the receiver. When you especially have rookie, when they call that route, they're gonna square and come across that middle. And at that time, they could hit you coming across there, and the guys would be looking around to see who's gonna hit them, because you were definitely gonna get hit.
Art Monk told me.
Look, they cleaned up though.
He said Art Monk told me the reason I can catch it coming across the middle is because I know I'm going to be hit anyway. Whether I catch this or not, I may as well catch it.
Right.
Because I'm going to get hit anyway. So I'm just going to pay close focus or whatever it was to make sure I caught it before I got hit. Because if I dropped it, I was going to get hit. It didn't matter. So he said, I'll just come down with the ball.
Yeah, I would agree with these guys. I think you have to be, like Chuck, you have to be smart, right? You have to be tough to be able to go across the middle. But I also think there's one other thing that kind of separates the best of the best from the best, and that's also being humble, be able to be a team player. You've seen a lot of wide receivers self-destruct over their ego and their pride.
Oh yeah,
you see they think they're a god on the field. So I think you got to have a combination of all three of those things, but also you got to be a good guy. You got to be a good teammate. You got to be humble.
No doubt about it.
Amen.
All right.
Amen on that one.
If we're ranking companies to put in windows at your home or business, there is no ranking. There's only one place to go. And Tyler, what do we got for the people this week?
The exciting thing about this week is that I just looked and we extended that crazy Easter egg hunt sale that we did last week. The Easter egg sale is going to extend to the end of the month, as I just got a notification. I was just double checking. So it's 35% off any kitchen reface project that you bring on. We're just going to tack that right on the top. And then the other one is buy 2 windows and get 1 free. So we just did that over the last week. We're going to extend it to the end of the month. We've just had a lot of good responses. Want to make sure that everybody can hear about it. So that's the deal. 35% off kitchens, 2 for 1, buy 2, get 1 free on windows. You go to windowstoreinc.com. Just click on schedule a free consultation. We'll come out and give you everyday fair pricing and then knock 35% off or give you a free window, whichever one it is.
Perfect. I love it. That's sensational. All right, we're going to take a break because we got a lot to get into. We still have running backs to discuss, quarterbacks, O-line, D-line, and of course, everyone's favorite category, special teams.
Yes.
You're listening to the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman. Back after this. Welcome back to the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman, the superstar Mike Morris, Tyler Ganz of the Window Store, also with us. Bob Sansevere will join us in a bit. This episode, we're ranking the best of the best, whoever wore purple in the Minnesota Vikings. And speaking of best of the best, if someone was looking for perhaps a hardware store that, there's so many options out there, but there is one that stands free and clear.
Well, technically there are 4.
Well, there you go.
I mean, the Pulice Ace Hardware stores, there are 4 locations. And yes, granted, they're all Ace Hardware stores. Ace is the place with the helpful hardware folks.
You got it.
There you go.
I don't know how I did that. So we'll step on down there. You've got projects going on this spring, this summer, out in the lawn. Scott's Turf Builder out on the deck. It's Weber Grills. They got the paint. We've talked about that endlessly. But first and foremost, they have the power tools with DeWalt. $30 discounts off select 20-volt DeWalt power tools. Also for Craftsman, they've got a $20 discount for select 20-volt Craftsman power tools. So get on down there. It's 4 places: Zumbrota, Farmington, Rosemount, and Egan. So do it today.
There you go.
Do that. Okay. Tell them I said so.
We will tell them that. All right, let's get to the defensive line, and we will let Mr. Morris go first this time.
Well, we've had so many great defensive linemen here. It's hard, like Chuck said, to give it justice, to find three when so many of them are and so great. But the first two that come to mind are from the Purple Gang, the Purple People Eaters, Carl Eller and Alan Page. And I think Alan Page might be the one guy that stands out in my mind. I mean, for all the reasons. He was incredible. So was Carl Eller. And then, of course, Jared Allen, just the old calf roper himself. I mean, just an incredible, different style, a tough guy. He was a throwback kind of player. And I thought Jared Allen deserved to be on this list. So I put him on there. But there are tons of them, though.
All right.
I got John Randall. I don't even have him on here.
How is that?
He's going to kill me. He'll kill me.
Oh, Chuck's looking for a play.
How do you not put John Randall on here?
He's writing it down.
John, he might be, I don't know.
All right, well, Chuck is amending his list, Tyler.
No, I'm
you
adding
give
him
it.
too because I can't separate the three.
You go ahead, Tyler.
It is really a tough one to get down to three. I'm younger, right? So the guys I watched, Jared Allen and John Randall. I mean, you think of the intensity that John Randall brought to the entire team. He wasn't just a defensive lineman; he was a leader for the Vikings. He was the man. So it's tough not to get around him. Jared Allen just being the cowboy, the roper. I mean, it's so fun. And then my last one, you just cannot go around as Carl Eller. I know that Alan Page is there as well, but Carl Eller stands out in my mind. He's just a monster of a man. I don't know. I don't know why I've picked him over Alan Page. He's one I know more that I've heard more about, I think. But otherwise, for me, being starstruck again as a child was John Randall and Jared Allen. They're just beasts.
I understand that.
Chuck?
It's just too bad you didn't see it and play with the guys that I had on mine.
Mm-hmm.
Carl Alan Page, and I think I said this before. I had played with a lot of really, really great people. There's only one that I ever admired, and that was Alan Page. For his whole quality of who he is as a human being, his commitment to his beliefs, his quality as a man, and the things that he lives his life like, in my opinion anyway, with all the things you gotta have to be all you can be as a great person, and then the tremendous football player. That's what I think of Alan Page, personally.
Yeah. Well, there's some athletes that I've seen over the years that just have an aura about them where instantly you respect that person.
Right.
And you could exchange one sentence with Alan Page and you feel it. And it's not him projecting it on you or telling you that I'm the greatest of all time. You just sense it.
And then when he speaks to you and he tells you something, you know it's something that he's been asked before, he's thought about before, but the answer he's going to give you is going to be an answer that is undoubtedly, you have no doubt that it's correct and the right.
I mean, the guy was the first time ever NFL defense MVP, not defense MVP of the league as a defensive tackle.
There you go.
I mean, that says a lot. I mean, that says a lot. And like Chuck said, I mean, everything that came out of his mouth was factual, or he learned through experience that this is the way you should probably do it, and probably the best tip or the reminder you could. A smart guy. I mean, you don't run into that very often. That's a package deal.
And you know what else I respect about Alan too? Back in the day when I first got in the league, the Players Association, which they have now. He and this guy Ed Garvey and a few of those guys, old gentlemen, put that whole union together. And they kept it together, and they held it together, and they fought for everything that you guys got, what little we got, and everything these guys getting today. You know what I mean? The retirement packages are outstanding. My son's got a heck of a retirement. I'm like, man, how you get more than me? You know,
Isn't that
but he hasn't got collected yet. But when he does, it's unbelievable. So
It's unreal.
They were all responsible for not only being great players, but setting the foundation for the things that the league needed, what the players needed in order to make the league function and function right when the guys were done. Because, we hear about all the great guys that come through and do well, but we don't hear too much about all the great guys that came through, couldn't play because they got injured or couldn't make it. But
point.
then they got things in place for them. Okay, since you didn't make it, you got hurt during your course of the game, you got an opportunity to, they'll take care of you. They get those packages now,
Yeah, I mean, they picked up everything in the benefits. They've come up
and
with
stuff.
medical, some insurances that weren't there before in the past, and some life term insurance at least that you can get in on, even with pre-existing injuries and whatever else you can qualify for.
But the main thing is the health insurance.
Yes, absolutely.
And see, and that's the thing. And I look back and we think about those things. Yeah, you talk about Allen, the football player, great. But those are the things that are in play and are in place that he and that group put together and fought for. And a lot of guys at that time, I hate to say it, they got on that committee. They were out of the league.
You know what? That's a good way to get on someone's bad side, including NFL ownership. They may not like what you're saying, and then you're working against them all the time on all those issues. And now suddenly, maybe the best thing for him is to be done and out of the league, and so we can help him with that.
Yeah. That was in those days.
No question.
All right, he shared the inside story of Alan Page and what it was like to be in the same locker room. What was it like being in the same locker room with Mr. Randall?
I don't know if you can. There's a word. I don't know if there's a word for chaos. I mean, he's just so intense. He was an intense guy. I think Tyler said that. He was so intense. The guy was constant motion all day long, even in the locker room. But when he got out on the field, he'd go over and start swatting the goalpost pad. He'd work on that endlessly until practice started. And then after it was over with, you go back to the pad and work different moves on the goalpost pad in the practice facility for another 25, 30 minutes, the same stuff over and over again. I've told this story before when we went to Tokyo to play the Chiefs. I went down to get something to eat with him. We walked down a few blocks somewhere in Tokyo, and he's doing the parking meter thing, where he's swimming and uppercutting the parking meters and everything else. I said, Johnny, just settle down. People are thinking you're Godzilla in this town.
Yes.
You're killing. You're trying to tear up the parking meters now. He was constant motion. He was like that all day, every day. And he came in early. He was one of the first guys that would come in, and he'd already have a towel around his neck. He'd already lifted weights. He'd already taken a shower, and he was watching extra film. And he was that guy. It'd be dark out still, and he was already in a chair watching film. So, I mean, that's who he was all day long.
The best thing I saw about Johnny was the picture he kept in his locker. And I finally was brave enough to ask him because you did not want him on your bad side. But there was a picture of this shack that had a dirt floor, and there was little kids standing in front of it. And it was always there. And I was like, well, I wonder what that is, But finally I asked him, and he said, that's where I grew up. I had no running water, no indoor plumbing.
That's right.
I had a dirt floor.
That's right.
That's where he grew up. And so he said, anytime I feel like, I don't need to do that drill today, or I don't need to look at extra video, I just look up at that picture and remember where I could be and where I came from.
Right.
And that's the carrot that drove him.
Yeah.
It was incredible. He was incredible. He lived in a cotton field, honestly, and he had to walk to his grandmother's home when his mother went to work. So he told the story about how he had to walk. It was like a mile or so down to his grandmother's place on the same road. This place that you're talking about is in a field. It's like right in the middle of a cotton field.
Okay.
Tin, like metal roof,
Oh, wow.
and they used to tip up on its side when the wind was coming and grab underneath that roof. It would tip it up on the edge. He told me that. But the reason I'm telling you the story about the walk every day down and back from his grandma's house is there was a mean dog in between that he had to get past every day. So he had a crutch. Someone had a crutch from the closet. He would take a crutch and use it to defend himself against the dog getting to his grandma's house. And he put the crutch up against the wall and go into his grandma's house and stay with her for a while, and then come back out of the house, grab the crutch, and go beat the dog again and go back home. I'm like, that's a true story. I can
believe it.
Yeah. I mean, that's who he was. That's what he was doing from the time he was really little. Yeah. He was just taking on all the heat, and he could do it. But he was an incredible guy. And I think there were 6 boys that grew up in that house, 1-room house. And if you don't believe me, take a look at A Football Life. It's on that. They actually went back and they tried to reconstruct and redo that entire house the way it was when he grew up. And he walks through it with you. And he takes you through the house, and it's just a dirt floor, and they're having to get water, and they're heating the water on the stove to take a bath in a wash tub. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. Incredible story.
Yeah.
All right. All right, we're going to take another quick break here. I don't know if we're going to get through all these. This may be a multi-episode because you guys have so much great insight into this. But we have to tell you about the big events that are coming up with Sports Legends USA. Some big events are taking place Thursday. If you're listening to this, you got to get there quick because Chuck will be appearing Thursday, April 24th from 3:30 to 5 at an NFL pre-draft party at Brixworth. So check that out. That's in downtown Minneapolis. You got to be at that one. Then the big party, the huge party. Vikings Legends will be at the Dugout Bar in Matamidi. It starts at 6, but you want to get there at 5. You'll want to line up. Matter of fact, you can order your spot and reserve seats. Correct, Tyler?
Yeah, we just opened up reserve seating for this event because we've had so much positive, input back. So you can go on to dugoutbarmn.com and make sure you have a reserved seat to make sure you got a spot to sit down. Obviously, standing room only. We're not, I don't think we're charging. I think we're just saying, hey, do you want a seat? We want to make sure we have a seat for you. It's minuscule for money. It's just we want to know who's coming and make sure we're prepared.
And it's also there's a charity aspect to it as well. Chuck will be there, Mike will be there, and a host of former Vikings. And then Saturday, the 26th, the Superstar, you'll be heading down to Paul Krause's establishment, and that is from 11:30 a.m. to 2, day 3 of the draft. Stu Voigt will also be hanging out with you, and you'll be with the animals, the livestock.
Yeah, those guys will be in the barn. They have a party barn that they kind of use for all these events, these watch parties.
Real nice.
They don't want me in there, though, and I understand why completely. So they put me out on the hog lot with a couple Duroc hogs, and I just hang out with them for a while. And then I'm hoping people will come outside and tell me how the draft went. Because I'm sure you'll have a good time. You can talk with real players like Stu Voigt and Paul Krause and some other people like that. And then I'll be out there. Don't worry. I'll take care of you. You come on out. You can pet the hogs. It'll be like a petting zoo. Okay.
Unreal.
All right. Be good. Just do that. Make sure you do. 26th, Saturday, 11:30 to 2. I'll be there.
There you go. Go to Sports Legends USA if you want more information on any of these fantastic events. All right, we got to go. We're running late. The JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman continues right after this. Welcome back to the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman, the superstar Mike Morris, and Tyler Ganz of the Window Store. And the website where people can look up those great specials that you have on right now?
WindowsStoreInc.com.
All right, let's, I'll tell you right now, you're going to have to listen to next week because this is going to have a carryover. This has been such great stuff that we can't cram it all into one episode. So we've done a lot of great Viking stories. We've only done 2 of the 6 categories I was hoping to hit on. So let's do offensive linemen. And Tyler, we'll let you get the first crack because we've given Mike and Chuck a shot at it.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. I guess
You're welcome.
My top 3 O-line, Randall McDaniel, just a beast. Matt Burke, just very smart Harvard grad center, still involved heavily with the Vikings. And Steve Hutchinson. He wasn't, kind of a newer guy. I wasn't there all that long, but still, I think he had 3 or 4 Pro Bowls with the Vikings. I thought he made a big impact while he was there. Someone that that I watched.
That's pretty good. 2 of the 3 are in Canton, so I think you did well.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Not bad. Not bad.
Well.
Good list.
Chuck?
Okay. I got to tell you why how I make my choices. First of all, I make my choice based on, like, for instance, when I got to the Vikings, they were like 7-7 a year before, and I see where they went afterwards. Now, that's just one thing. Okay, so when I'm looking at the Viking offensive line, I'm looking at Ron Yeri, who at the time was the number one player off the board, I think.
Yes, he was.
And then there's Ed White, the greatest guard I have ever known. Okay, and then I'm going to say Randall McDaniel, because he by far exceeded. Unlike any offensive line, even with Ed White there, I'm like, this guy was different.
Yeah.
I mean, different. And so those are my top three. Now, of course, there's plenty more out there, but it's hard to pick. But heck, I don't even have a couple of the Hall of Famers on here, but these are the guys that I know that were big difference makers.
All right. Well, you were the roommate with the guy who's been on both lists so far.
Yeah.
Mr. McDaniel, and I'm assuming he made your list as well.
He did. He was first on my list because I really believe that too. I got to room with him for 6 years, so I feel like I watched this whole thing happen right in front of me. How great he was, and what he was behind the scenes. Away from the football field. I knew that side of him too. So, but there is just, I don't know, of all the people that they ask questions on the street, who was the best athlete you ever had a chance to play against or with? I think he was on that list. He certainly is on that list, and that could be a list of anyone. A great running back, whether that's Chuck or Walter Payton or Barry Sanders or Randy Moss as receiver, athlete-wise, he was as good an athlete as a big man as they were at their skill positions, as far as I thought, as far as I was concerned. He never lost. He just never lost a matchup. Anyone he was paired with for the day, he won that. He won it. He was undefeated. He won that match every time. I think he was one of only 2 football players on the offensive line that went all the way through the 90s without missing a game. So he was durable too. And the other one was Bruce Matthews. So Randall's on that list. I could talk about him endlessly. I don't need to. I think a lot of these guys have mentioned things, and everyone already knows about him anyway. So, but Gary Zimmerman, who he played right next to, I mean, he was incredible. I've seen him play against Bruce Smith with a broken hand, with pins in his hand on Tuesday, and played the game on Sunday and didn't allow a sack. I mean, that's how good he was. He was a Swiss-made watch. His feet were perfect, even though he played the left tackle position out of a right-handed stance. Think about that one. Think about that. And then I'm just going to, because I knew him, I grew up loving this guy because he also long snapped for the Vikings for 12 years, Mick Tingelhoff. And he was one of my favorite guys. And he got into the NFL Hall of Fame late, but he made it. He made it. I'm so grateful for knowing him here personally, and for his long snapping that could have inspired me to want to pick up a ball and try and spiral it,
That's awesome. And before we take the break, a place that someone needs a truck this time.
So it's not,
or a car.
There are places. There are a lot of places, to buy hardware. This is another kind of place. You buy bigger hardware. It's called a truck. Okay. You walk in though, you'll be in Burnsville. You won't be in Zumbrota or Farmington, Egan, Rosemount. You'll go to Dodge of Burnsville and just head on down there and tell them you want a truck or a car. New one, used one, doesn't matter. They'll set you up. Mark and Adam Saba will take good care of you. Great service after you buy one. And you'll find them right on 35W and Cliff Road in Burnsville. Tell them the superstar Mike Morris sent you, or else. I just threatened you. That was a threat. Jesus. Okay, I'm done.
All right, we're done as well. We're going to take another break. Bob Sansevere joins us on the other side of the break. Join us next week because this was so awesome doing this. We still have running back who may be sitting right here in this room. We have quarterbacks to discuss and special teams. We may have one of those members in this room that'll be on that list. All right, we got to go. Bob is going to yell at me. We'll be back with more of the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman, the superstar Mike Morris, and Tyler Ganz of the Window Store.
On behalf of Vikings legend Chuck Foreman and Fox 9's Jim Rich, I'm Bob Sansevere, and I want to say thank you to all of our listeners and our radio partners, KXRA in Alexandria, KRWC in Buffalo, KDHL in Faribault and Owatonna, KDAL and WDSM in Duluth, WNMT in Hibbing, KTOE in Mankato, AM 660 The Bear, WBHR in St. Cloud, and Wild 102 FM in Roseau. Also, KWOA AM FM in Worthington, and KKBJ in Bemidji. And Bob Total Country, serving the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and surrounding areas. We'll talk to you later.